Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner. I'm so glad you're here to nourish your roots with me. So last episode, we talked a little bit about, giving yourself grace and not being so harped up on doing everything absolutely perfectly in your diet and, all those kinds of things. And I wanted to kind of elaborate on that a little bit because I know that this happens to so many of us where we just kind of feel like if we can't do it absolutely perfectly, then why bother? And I know that that's something, you just kind of have in the back of your mind. And it can often come from, your upbringing, like, oh, look, I got, a B plus on this test. And just somebody looks at you and goes, well, why didn't you get an A? And you're like, well, shit. I thought that a B plus was really good and I studied my ass off, but I guess it wasn't good enough unless it comes out perfect. And and I mean, that's just kind of like one example of something, but I'm not trying to like point fingers at anybody, but these things, unintentionally kind of like get stuck into our head throughout our lives. And they stick with us, and especially if you are neurodivergent, have ADHD or something like that, you tend to get really kind of focused on everything has to be perfect in order for it to work well. So I know, there have been different things where I'm like, well, I can't start this until I have this. Like, okay, well, I want to start a website and I want to start this. So I have to get all of these things together and it has to be like absolutely immaculate and perfect before I can even put anything out there where people might think A, B, C, D. They might think these weird things like, oh, look at her, she's a mess or something like that. And the truth of the matter is, in almost every situation, nobody is going to notice that you don't have everything all together. Absolutely. Like, nobody's going to be like, oh, look, like that's a little off or this is a little off with her website or what. Nobody's going to notice. Probably nobody's going to care. The people who notice are probably web designers and they'll probably say, oh, look, it's a work in progress. So that's just one aspect of it there. But this comes into play in terms of health because sometimes we're like, okay, well, I really want to start, a workout program. Let's say, I want to start this workout program. This looks really great. But first, I have to buy all of these supplies. I don't have all of the weights, all of the correct heavy weights, like I only have, threes, fives, and tens, and I'm going to need 15 and 20 pounds. So I have to go and spend this money first on the proper supplies. Or they're using this leg band and I don't have that yet. So I'm not going to be able to do that. Or, oh, well, people are saying that these are the foods that they're going to eat. And I don't like this food, or I don't have this one. And, so I'm not going to start. So I'm just not going to do it at all. And so you just kind of give yourself an excuse to not do it, or you end up spending a lot of time and money collecting all of the information that you need, learning all of the things that you need to, purchasing all of the things, all of the supplies that you're going to need, and then you stick them in the spot, and then maybe you lose interest. Maybe you never fully get started because there's always something else that you feel like you need to do first. You're like, I have to get all my ducks in a row. I have to get all of these things laid out. And to a certain extent, you do. You do have to get certain things together. But I want you to know that you can do anything as your perfectly beautiful, messy self. There's no reason to have to be perfect in anything that we do. And honestly, it's pretty much impossible to do anything perfectly because we're all humans and literally none of us are perfect. I know I'm not. I know you're not. I know my kids aren't. My husband's not. Literally every person I've ever met, there's a flaw. We all have them. We all have our things. So nobody's going to be doing anything perfectly. And in terms of pretty much anything, perfection is like a killer of dreams because you have this dream. You're like, I'm going to start and do this workout plan. I'm going to start on this health journey, and maybe you see somebody else's health journey and you're like, well, I don't have those things that she has, or I don't have, my life is not exactly like that, or, she's doing this and she doesn't have any kids, or she's doing this and she does have kids and I don't. she's doing this, but I work full time and she doesn't, or vice versa. So there's always going to be something there that's kind of like, that you're like, oh, you start to compare yourself and you realize, but what you're not realizing rather is that the other person is also not perfect. They went ahead and took the messy action too. So I want you to know that when you come to see me, when you come to work with me in one of my virtual programs, I do not expect any kind of perfection. We just expect some effort. Okay. We're just going to put it out there. We're going to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and do the things. And if we mess up a little bit, that's okay. We're going to dust ourselves off and we're going to keep on rocking. You just keep on down the path. Absolutely nothing is linear in terms of health and healing. Really, I mean, I don't know. There's very few things in terms of the way that your life flows that are going to be linear. I'm sure somebody could think of something. But when you're talking about health and everything, you're not. Even if you do have, I'm using quotations, the perfect diet, okay? And that's, that term can mean anything to anybody. But even if you think that you were doing, the perfect diet, there are still going to be days where, you're feeling up or you're feeling down. Your hormones are still going to do a roller coaster kind of a thing at certain times. This is just how we are made. So we're made, I mean, beautifully, but we're kind of like a big mess, and we just have to kind of roll with that. So take the messy action. Don't worry about perfection because perfection, it just kills dreams. It gets you stuck. And then you're sitting there and you're like, girl, why am I always stuck? Why is there always something stopping me from getting to this next level that I want to go to? And the only thing stopping you is you. It's your thoughts in your head. It's the stuff around you. You go, well, I can't go any further because, I don't have this. Now, I mean, like if you can't exercise for a while because like, you've hurt yourself, you had surgery, you were in an accident, you pulled this, that, or the other thing. Those things happen. You take yourself a break. You give yourself some grace there. You can keep up with some other things that you're doing. You can do your breathing exercises. You can continue with your journaling. You can continue with your nutrition. I can tell you, I had back surgery when I was starting my weight loss journey. I was about, let's see, about 30 pounds down, I think, when I had my back surgery. And I did that, it was very, very modified in any of the exercises that I was doing, but I knew I needed to be strong for that surgery. So I went ahead, and it was mostly my nutrition, but also, those exercises that I was doing. And then I had the surgery. And I mean, I was literally walking with a walker and then a cane. Okay. So there was no chance of me doing any kind of workouts for a couple of months. And I didn't gain a bunch of weight during that time, even though like I literally lived most of my life sitting in a big comfy chair that I was, a recliner. And I had my husband and my bestie that were helping me get up and get around. And we had prepped food. Yeah, I did. We prepped food so that my husband could throw things together easily. He took the chicken out of the freezer and it was already marinated, and all he had to do was thaw it out and chuck it in the oven. So you can have other aspects of your health journey carry you during those times when you're not able to do something else. Or sometimes this would happen with patients on programs with me. They wouldn't be able to take certain certain supplements for a period of time because they were going to be having surgery. So we would have to take them off of anything herbal. We would have to be very careful to make sure that we're not giving them something to take that's going to make their blood thin, because then their doctors are going to be super pissed off at me for allowing them to take something herbal and then they're bleeding all over the place, because they can tell when they tell you not to take certain things because it thins out your blood and you go, oh, I'm going to take one. They know. So, I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to take your wild yam, which has been helping you so much with your perimenopause and menopause, Mrs. Smith. So for this week, we're just going to skip that. And, she kept up with her other things. She kept up with her nutrition as long as it was, but, because oftentimes with different surgeries, there's certain things you can and can't eat for the day or so beforehand. So, you follow those directions and then you take care of your body as you are recovering from those things. And then once you have your green light, then you go back and it's okay. So we don't have to have like this perfect thing all the time, you know. So even when you are, immersed in something, there's going to be days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot to take my supplements this morning. Okay, so that happens. Let's try not to make it happen every day, but it happens. Okay, it happens to everyone. I still have to remind my kids, and sometimes I forget to remind my kids. I mean, come on. No one is perfect. Perfectionism is going to lead to your dreams just being these pipe dreams that you don't end up ever getting to, and you're still going to be a mess. So you may as well take the messy action and get yourself towards some of those goals and check yourself off little boxes along the way, because there's always little tiny wins. Celebrate every little tiny win. If you put on your pants and they feel more comfortable than they did when you put them on last week, you do yourself a little victory dance, because that's freaking awesome. Okay, even if the scale hasn't moved, doesn't matter. Take some pictures. Notice how you're feeling. Like, wow, I pooped today and it wasn't painful and it looked like it's supposed to. It was great. You're going to feel better. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're feeling better because we're focusing on the, well, I wasn't able to do this, so I'm still, stuck and not able to do that. You celebrate every single little win on your journey and forget about perfectionism. Forget about the expectations that you're having, okay? When we want everything to be perfect and then we're expecting a certain outcome, that's going to lead to resentment. That's going to lead to a really negative mindset where you're just, nothing ever works for me. And then you get stuck in this victim mindset. And there you go. And that will filter into all aspects of your life. So, perfectionism, let's let it go. It's not worth it. And I can tell you, as someone who spent most of her life thinking that things had to be perfect before you could launch them, before you could put things out there, it's not worth it. It's just going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you into a cycle. It's going to keep you not feeling well. It's going to keep you continuing to gain weight or continuing to not be able to gain weight. There's two sides to that. There's two different people with that. These things are going to continue. You're just going to continue in these cycles. So let go of that need to know absolutely everything before you start something. Let go of the perfectionism and just trust yourself. Trust whoever you're working with. Trust whatever plan you are going to grab onto and stick with it, even when you mess up. Messy people mess up, and that's okay. Keep going so that when you get to the end, even if you don't have those expected results, because remember, we don't want any resentment at the end. Even if you don't have those expected results, you can look at the results that you have and you can use the data that you have from that to make a new choice. Do I want to do this again? What do I need to do differently for my body? What is my next step? And those next steps are never going to be perfect, but we need to find some neutral place in the middle where, we're not going all or nothing, because everything is not just black and white. Everything is not just wrong or right. Like, just like, oh, this diet's right, that diet's wrong. Nonsense. There's something right for everyone. And even if it's right for somebody right now, and they're going to go for the next 6 months eating this way, maybe they're going to change after that. And when you're listening to your body, most likely you're gonna, okay? Like, it's just, nothing is black and white and nothing is perfect. So stop trying to make it that way. It makes us a lot happier in general when we can just find a neutral piece in the middle and understand that just doing the best that we can and putting ourselves out there is what's going to bring us to those next levels, to those next steps. So your health journey is very important to you. It's important to me. It's much more important to you and to your family, your loved ones, your friends. They want to see you succeed. I want to see you succeed, and you want to see you succeed. But success is going to look different to everyone. And I'll tell you, even when you are succeeding, you're still going to hear people go, well, you look too skinny. You look like this. How come you're not eating that? I don't like your diet. I think you're and at the same time, you're going to have people go, wow, you look so great. What did you do? Oh, I'm so proud of you. You're doing great. You're glowing. I can see such a change in you. You're never going to have only the, flowers and rainbows side of anything, because nothing is built that way. So go ahead, take a few minutes here to reflect on this. I'm so glad that you joined me today, but Don't strive for perfectionism. Go ahead and take the messy action in your health journey because we are all big, beautiful messes. Well, let's be big, beautiful messes together. Perfectionism absolutely kills dreams, and we don't want to end up with that. We don't want to kill our dreams, and we don't want to end up resentful. So go ahead and sit with this. Thank you for joining me today, you beautiful souls, and I can't wait to be back with you next time.